Authentic, important conversations help us understand life and relationships better and make us feel connected. Those connections build a community where you belong because your contributions matter. That's why Shelley and Toby are bringing you news and views. Join us to explore ideas, news, opinions, experiences, and real-life stories. Live on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come chat about life with your friends.
Oops, caught dancing there.
You know, it's kind of funny that I said, come chat about life with your friends, and that shows a picture of that Swiss Guard. It's like, oh, is that your friends?
Yeah, Swiss Guard are very friendly guys, actually.
Yeah.
They protect the Pope. They're the Pope's personal guard, basically. They've been wearing the same uniforms since the 1700s. Well, not the same uniforms.
Sure.
They've washed them since then.
I've washed them.
Yeah.
They're long lasting.
Yes.
Because they're armor. Well, hello to our friends in the chat room. We have Wave Seeker and Long Way to Tipperary.
So I am going to put a comment in the comment space, and that is later on this evening, you guys, I'm going to be talking about the documents that were produced as a result of the Fenn Probate Case, and I've put them in a folder, and the link that I'm about to share with you is that folder. So if you want, you can take a look at the documents yourself to see that I didn't make them up. Okay. So yeah, you have access to that folder. You can download the documents. There are, let me see how many there are. There are relating to the case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I was sharing with you, I want to show you some of the news that came out this week. So we're going to talk about that. And that's in there too. Okay.
Hello. Okay, Larry.
Hello. Okay, Larry. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Rudy Green.
Hi, Rudy Green.
Good listener.
Bless your heart.
Long Way. And Wave Seeker.
So do you want to talk about giveaways for just a minute? Can I talk about giveaways since I don't think you have? Do you have all the books at your house?
I do somewhere.
Well, let's wait till we get more people in the room, and I'll talk about it then. How's that?
Just so we're all aware, Copper Factory's here. Hello. Wednesdays, we have decided to go with 2 shows, one at 5 in the evening. That's our Messages and Methods Livecast Life show, where we turn it into a podcast, and it's going to center on live streaming and podcasting and blogging and content marketing. Then at 7 o'clock, we'll have News and Views, which focuses, just like tonight, on news and our views thereof. And then, of course, Saturdays at 7. Next week, because it's Mother's Day tomorrow, let's see.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do that.
I have a Mother's Day. Let's see, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, for our mommies out there. We'll just mix it up with a little Cinco de Mayo on top. There we go.
Yeah, we missed Cinco de Mayo. So.
And tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I'm going to go out and visit my mom. I'm going to leave Thursday after my show. Well, actually Thursday night. And then I'll be back Wednesday. So I won't miss any shows except for next Saturday. So Toby's going to be on his own next Saturday.
So Copper Dan asked me to do that. Wait, hello. Did I change
hello.
Wait.
How long are we going to wait?
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, that's not the right one.
Oh, Toby's all alone next week.
They're all alone next week. So we will be doing shows together on Wednesday, though, right? Both the 5 o'clock show and the 7 o'clock. And then I'll do next Saturday by myself. And Shelley will be visiting with her mom in Arizona. So Copper, the last message I got from you was your address. And I use that your shipping address, and I use that to ship the the book that you want, along with the coins, and so yes, I did get it. If that was the last one, if the last one you sent me was the one with your shipping address, I did get it. Okay. So how was your week?
Busy, I guess.
Yeah.
Now that we're doing all these shows, keeps us busy. And then, of course, we had to put a proposal together for a person who would like us to publish her book on Amazon. And that's something we're doing. And we're getting ready to start recording the audiobook of Livecast Live. So that's going to keep us busy for a while.
With Shelley's beautiful broadcast voice. So the entire book will be in Shelley's voice. It's very nice.
If I can be loud enough to be heard.
Yeah, well, I was looking at the stuff that we tested yesterday, and it sounds really good, even in the studio, which to me is always kind of echoey. But your voice is just amazing. It's very nice, and from a tonal perspective, it's flat. But that's not. It's not your voice that's flat. The recording tends to be unobstructed. There's no hissing, no nothing. So it's very good. I'm very happy with the results.
Yeah.
The what was I going to say? So we were talking about making a recording. Oh, the show on Wednesday at 5:00 is, so we're getting more and more this business of publishing other people's books. But on Wednesday at 5:00, we're going to be talking about what you have to do in order to publish a book on Amazon. If you've written one, we don't write the book. We just handle it when you got to the book. And a classic example is my friend who's had a book completed since 2018, and she was struggling how to get it published. And I gave her one of our books on Livecast Live. So she said she read it in 2 days, and she was talking to her husband, and she said to her husband, Shelley and Toby make this sound like it's really easy. And her husband, who is this guy's amazing. He's multi-degreed. He's an engineer in technology. He's a graduate in engineer technology. He started his own business in that engineering, and he had a passion for medicine. So he started his own company for that. And then at age 30 something, he went back to college and got an MD. And then he took the business and he pivoted and he started producing high-tech medical gear. So he's rich and a genius. I mean, the guy is literally one of those guys that's a genius. And so he said to her, why don't you just have them do it? And so she said, do you guys do this? I said, she called me. She said, do you guys do that? I said, yeah, naturally. And she said, could you send, we agreed on a price, which is the price that we charge. And I sent her a proposal last night. So I know they're busy on the weekend, so I won't hear from her till Monday. So, but if you know anyone who's had a book on the shelf and would like to get it published on Amazon, send them in our direction. All the whoopsies.
Or in the drawer.
Forgot the banner here. Where's that banner?
Do you need some help?
Yeah, I need some help, banner.
It's under banners.
I know it's under banners, but I can't find it. It's down at the bottom.
Do you want me to find it for you?
Yeah, would you please?
Okay.
Don't you love this new feature of StreamYard that lets us operate as administrators from? So everything that you need to Women Conquer Business podcast. Thank you, Miss.
Oopsie. Oh, whoopsie.
Whoopsies. That us? Yeah.
Here we go.
So if you know someone who has a book that it's been sitting on the shelf gathering dust because they don't know how to publish it, literally Amazon and other companies, we use Amazon because that's where we started doing it, make it so easy. And so we offered that service to other people. And and there are other people we know that we've had a lot of success with getting their book on Amazon. And you'll know it because we actually get the right to, we fill in the publishing company. It has AGK Media Studio. The cool is that. Let's see, way to kindle people desire to. Packer Jack just made a joke. Okay, a couple of things real quick that Toby has to do. Please like our video. YouTube likes it when you like our video. Share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business associates, the entirety of your social network so that we can grow the channel. And then finally, if you are not already a subscriber, this would be the ideal time to subscribe. Click on that bell, and that way, every time we schedule a live stream or start a live stream, you'll be immediately informed. And as a result,
in the know.
Thank you. And then the super chat light is, so if you'd like to make a contribution to our little project, go down to the bottom of the chat window. You see the stylized but grayed out $sign. Click on that $sign, and the good folks at YouTube will walk you through the process of helping us to be better people by sending us money. I don't know how that helps us to be better people. So I had plans for tomorrow. My daughter had invited me to go magnet fishing. She knows I'm a fisher person. So she invited me to take, she and the boys wanted to go magnet fishing. And then I called her this afternoon and I said, what's the plan for tomorrow? And she said, I'm having mom over for mom and her her husband over for afternoon, a late afternoon lunch. So goodbye magnet fishing. I'm not going to argue with her having her mother over, you can't, you don't want to do that. Argue with your daughter about having her mother over. Okay, we do have giveaways tonight.
We got a super chat from 3D Bronze.
Oh, 3D Bronze. Wow, big boy. I have not seen you in a long time. Thank you for that.
Does this thing still work? It does indeed.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Does our DJ horn work?
DJ horn. Oh, damn it. I've got this on your side. Okay, DJ horn. Yep. Nope. Am I? Hang on. I think I'm on your.
It's the fifth one.
Women conquer business. Hold on.
Well, you can use that. It's on there.
No, because it's completely different.
Yeah, but just use the card.
Oh, I guess good point. Which one am I supposed to do?
The fifth one.
No, I'm back.
DJ air horn.
There you go.
3 hours later. We found it. Yay. He's gone.
You are right. He's taking back his money. If I don't get the damn air horn, I'm leaving.
That's right.
Scott Lanini says, I know someone writing a book. I'll send her your way if she's ready. Well, even if she's not ready, send her our way. So that way we can send her a proposal. And when she is ready, she'll know that we're ready to get her book done. So this latest one that we did, it doesn't have to be finished till the end of June because she's traveling. And so she wanted to, she was okay with her, but we can do it in as little as a week if their document is ready. So wait, there's more.
What's more?
I'm not seeing it on the screen here. Wait a minute. It's kind of scrolled downwards. There, that's more.
Oh, ta-da, super sticker. Wow.
Long way to Tipperary. Oh, that means he's one of our members. That's what it is.
Right.
As a member. Okay, another air horn.
She.
Oh, long way to Tipperary. You're right. Okay, let's talk about giveaways for the moment. Thank you for that, long way.
And it's a big thumbs up sticker.
Was it? Let me see. Oh, I can't see it on here.
Yeah, you have to look at it on YouTube.
Yeah, on the YouTubers. Oh, yeah. It is. Okay, so here's the plan for tonight. Have you come up with a trivia question?
I'm working on it. You asked me like 10 seconds before we went live. I'm still working on it.
This should be a little note in your back pocket that you carry around with you all the time. What is the next trivia question?
I'm working on it. Longway says I'm a she.
Sorry, Longway, I apologize. I remember that. I apologize for that. Far be it from me to offend. Oh, bad news. Some items weren't in my Walmart order. Remind me after the show, I got to go pick up groceries at Walmart.
Oh, okay.
At the Wally World. Okay,
Yes.
so here's the plan for tonight. We have written 3 books. We have copies of all 3. This is Women in Podcasting, nonfiction, Livecast Life, the content creator lifestyle, nonfiction. I'm sorry, nonfiction, and then of course the famous Gypsy's Kiss. So here's the deal. Once we get to 50 viewers.
I thought you said 100.
Well, no, 100 is for the. I'm going to talk to that in just. Okay, so we get to 50 viewers tonight, and if somebody, if we get to 50, we'll do it right away in case it goes down after that, right?
Okay.
So if we get to 50 viewers, Shelley's going to do a trivia question, and the first person in the chat room with the answer to the trivia question wins the book, as well as, and I didn't get them because they're in our equipment closet over here, as well as two AGK challenge coins, one with a treasure chest and one with Mariah's Magnolia on it. And you also get 2 postcards, 2 of our hand photographs by Toby, handmade postcards. Well, it's Rick from Cincinnati. Okay. And then if we reach 100 viewers tonight, this is the last copy of the books that are not for resale. There were 5. When you publish a book on Amazon, it gives you 5 free review copies. This is the last one of those 5. See where it says not for resale? But here's what's cool about it. You remember the time at 3D Bronze, you're going to really appreciate this. You remember the time I took and I flipped through this book and I showed you all the yellow highlights. See, there's one down there where Shelley had highlighted hints and clues in the book. That is this book. It's got all those highlights. It is truly one of a kind. I could probably put this on eBay and sell it for thousands of dollars, but I'm not. We get to 100 tonight. So that means you have to come up with 2 trivia questions.
Jeez.
Jeez. So if we get to 100 viewers tonight, what do they call them? Live stream viewers tonight, we'll give away this special copy of we'll sign it, of course, special copy of A Gypsy's Kiss. The only one of its kind, the last one of the 5 that Amazon gave us for free. All these others, we have to buy those. Now, we do buy them at a discount, but this is one of the 5. When you publish a book on Amazon, you get 5 free ones. So, and this is one. Let me see if I can find a. And I realized afterwards she gave. Look at this. Can you see it?
Me?
Show up as well on the camera, but can you see those are all the highlighted highlights that she put in that. So when we get to 100, if we get to,
we're at 50, by the way.
Oh, well, that's guaranteed to giveaway. Okay, so
I'm still writing the question.
It's all right. We don't have to do it right now. So
Kevin's in the room, so you guys all lucked out that Kevin showed up to watch.
And notice the number. So Kevin, let us know when they get to 100. And even if it goes down below 50 at this point, we accept the fact that at some point during the night, during the evening, we got to 50. And the same is true if we get to 100 and it falls immediately. If somebody sees 100, because I have it on my screen up here, right? So if somebody sees 100, let me know so I can see it. And then if it goes down, we'll do the giveaway not as soon as, but if we get to 100, we'll do the giveaway, even if it falls below that. Okay, so we talked about, I do want to share, can I share a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I have a bunch of grandchildren. Well, this one at the moment is the second youngest. His name is baby Ragnar Fernandez de Castro. How's that?
That could have been a trivia question, but no, now you gave it away.
Oh, sorry. So this is baby Ragnar. He just turned 1. Mommy, Toby Renee, my youngest daughter, is going into the hospital this week to induce the second one. He's also a boy. And they're not going to wait till the due date because she's very tiny and breaking friend. So I can't do that. That's owned by somebody else. That's copyrighted by somebody else. But we do have Fenn news tonight. So he turned 1 today, and that was I love this picture because that's the before. Beautiful picture. And he's an adorable baby. He's literally white, blonde, blue eyes. There is nothing of me in this baby. He's really just a beautiful little baby. So that's the before, and this is the after. So he broke down the cake like he had to. And he eats with his hands. He's so cute. She keeps giving him these little utensils to eat with. And he throws the utensils on the floor and he eats with his hands like a little Viking barbarian Ragnar. So, how cute is that? We should put that in the newsletter. Oops, didn't want to do that just yet. So, I'm going to put that. So all the documents I'm going to talk about tonight are in this folder. So you can go to that folder and get those documents and join us in the conversation, right? You're welcome to download them. They have several things, one of which, hang on. So one of which there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 motions that were filed this week. I realized afterwards that one of them is the motion that was filed by Coombs back on April 29th. So he, for some reason, although it wasn't denied, he rewrote it and resubmitted it again. So, but I did want to talk about some. I thought the second one was for Copper Dan. You better be careful, Packer Jack. Copper Dan has a wrench. He might smack you with that wrench. But there were some other things that I wanted to talk about first. So I made a list because I got some questions. I got questions. You got questions. I have answers. So hang on just a second. Let me open up those text messages. Okay. Toby, can you please tell us more about the Fenn cases that are out there? So I promised that person that would answer tonight because I didn't know there were any more Fenn cases out there. So I checked. I checked case law. I checked Pacer. I checked all the places where you can see active cases. And basically, I'm going to open this right here. So let me add that to the stream. So what you can see here is there were 3 cases. The Rayfors versus Fenn, he was a Frenchman, Erskine versus Fenn, and Sandow versus Old. And so I went to all the cases, and just like I thought, they're all inactive. They were all denied or, let me go to the case here. Let me give you an example here. Let's go this is the French guy. So this is Rayfors versus Bruno Rayfors. And if you go all the way down to the bottom, it says it is ordered that the claimant's motion to reopen the case, document 12, filed 1 July 28th, remains denied. So it was denied prior to this time, and then there was a second denial. So it's an inactive case as of 2021. That was July 21. Now, the other thing, too, is these are all New Mexico cases. So in the case of Erskine, you'll see Erskine versus Fenn. That was the guy that insisted that it was in Colorado. So he brought up his case. They followed it through. You go down to the bottom as usual. And it says, well, it goes through a lot of things. There's a lot of orders here. He had to pay attorney's fees. The remaining motions were denied as moot. Because the court has granted defendant's motion to dismiss as well as defendant's motion to substitute party, defendant's motion to strike, plaintiff's motion, etc. They're denied as moot, and it gets down to bottom. The case is the defendant shall file any application denied plaintiff, and that was February 2021. So that's considered an inactive case. There are no, again, as of February, you can see it right here. As of February 1st, 2021, this is an active case. And then the third one, which was, now I got it, these were all active at one time. This was the Sandow et al. Versus Old. And this was the, I don't know if you remember Kyle Sandow. He actually had his own YouTube channel for a while. And I didn't know whether he camped out in his van or whatever, but he would produce his videos from behind the steering wheel of his van. And all you had was the shot out the window. So I never saw what he looked like. But this is the one, this is the gentleman along those. So Kyle Sandow, Mark Doty, Rebecca Kaiser versus Zoe Fenn, personal representatives, San Lazaro Holding Company, Shiloh Old, William Bradley Sather, if Collected Works Bookstore, Coffee House, Jonathan Kenneth. Oh, I didn't know that Jack's middle name was Kenneth. Jonathan Kenneth Stoof. So he was the gentleman that insisted that the treasurer had resided on San Lazaro Fenn always pronounced it as San Lazaro, so I'll respect the way he pronounced it. Sandow believed that's where the treasure was hidden. There was a point in the last couple of years of Fenn's life where he actually sold the property. So you got to remember how he acquired this property. He actually acquired a piece of property that had the pueblo on it, and over the next several years, he and a couple of archaeological friends of his wrote the book, The Secrets of San Lazaro. It was a beautifully, I have one that Fenn signed for me on my shelf. And it was a beautiful book, and it was beautifully written. And as usual, he put a lot of money into publishing. He probably never made as much money back because it was a $60 book. And but as usual, he was going to publish 1,000 of them because that's what he did. He probably published more. You can still find it on Abe Books, and the price has gone up, especially if you get a first edition or a signed copy. But if you want to see how much this man loved Native Americans, the ancient pueblos, it really comes out in this book. It's just it is so heartfelt and so soulful. Anyway, Sandow believes where it was, and he wanted to. He actually had all these people under suit, but again, it is ordered this case is dismissed without prejudice. In that case, it could be refiled, and to the best of my knowledge, it has not been refiled, and that was August 4th of 2021. So whoever sent me that text, because they didn't sign their name, I just have a phone number. There are, to the best of my knowledge, no active cases involving Forrest Fenn, Forrest Fenn's family, or Forrest Fenn's estate other than the current probate case. Okay? So there. Thank you for the question. So the other thing that came out this week that I thought was funny, kind of, was Outside Magazine covered the what's happening in court right now. Forrest Fenn's treasure was hidden in the national park. So it's a pretty good read. I do have the link in that document that I told you could look at. But he concludes literally without any evidence down here. This is the best line of all, right? So Davis surveyed the area, referring to Sara. What?
Yeah, that's how I read it too.
Yeah.
But come on.
Come on.
It's got to be there because it makes a good headline.
Somebody is a yellow journalism. When we were talking about yellow journalism. So this was great. So he talks about, he read the same affidavit we all did. Davis signed an affidavit stating that in August 2020, 2 months after the treasure was found, she had a Zoom meeting with Fenn and Stoof, during which they told her where the treasure had been stashed. Davis surveyed the area the following week and concluded that the spot, let me just close that up right there, concluded that the spot was not set up to handle the increased foot traffic that revealing the location might bring. Open parentheses, the affidavit doesn't specifically state that the treasure was in the park, just that the location is owned by the U.S. government and managed by the Department of the Interior. But bruh, come on. You should have done that.
There's no other land that's, governed by the Department of the Interior. Surely there's not.
So yeah, I thought it's not a poorly written article. It's just, as usual, assumptive. The second one was written, actually there were three of them that we should be aware of. So the second one was written by the Daily Mail, and I know this guy. He actually lives around here someplace. Ronnie Reyes, because he interviewed, I think he's the guy that interviewed me way back when for one of the Daily Mail articles, and he writes it here. And this guy doesn't pull any punches. Forrest Fenn's $1 million treasure, uppercase, was buried in Yellowstone National Park. Chief Ranger could be forced to reveal exact location after man files lawsuit claiming gold and jewels were moved each time he got close to finding it, as opposed to man who said the treasure was moved could end up in prison himself. Mm-hmm. So he talks about it, he calls Jamie McCracken a Florida treasure hunter. U.S. District Attorney and Chief Ranger Sara Davis claim revealing the location would damage the park from increased tourism. Let's see.
It never said park in any of the documents I saw.
Yeah.
Did you see it say park?
No, it never used the word park. It used land managed by the Department of Interior, land, everything but park, actually. But
Mhm.
okay, you're going to believe it. Anyway, it's again a well-written article, and you'll be able to pull out a bunch of stuff. Just keep in mind, he's got some of the older pictures. I'm kind of surprised he didn't use my picture because he's got about a
A
dozen.
lot of times they just
There's
submit, and then the Daily Mail just goes, "Okay, we have all these pictures."
yeah, yeah,
They paste them all on there because
right.
they already have them anyway.
So there's Sara. She and I are on like a first name basis now. I've done so much research. There's Jack Kenneth,
Jonathan.
Jonathan Kenneth Stoof. Treasure chest, Fenn and Jonathan Kenneth Stoof. Treasure chest in situ. Treasure chest with little tiny stick. And
a
picture of the thriller.
Rusty key.
So, oops. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, did I?
Old picture of Fenn.
Old picture of Fenn. One of 12. Oh, okay. Those are all the pictures. That's all there. Fenn climbing into his was it a F-105?
Aircraft. It's an aircraft.
I know it's an aircraft. It was an F-105.
Well, you don't have to be specific, then it's just easier.
So again, all those links are in this document, which you now have access to. The other thing I wanted to put in there for monkeys is National Park Ranger names. Whoopsies. You don't need to see the advertising. Oh, dang nabbit. Change the page on me. So this is the
clicked on the advertisement.
Bozeman. I did probably. Shit, man.
Do the X up in the
top
right corner.
See, and it keeps changing the wait, let me see if I can get it from here.
Oh, maybe you already looked at it once and now it won't let you look at it again.
Oh, that's probably true because I did look at it. Well, without
one look per person.
I guess. Okay, one more time here. I guess I could do it this way. Son of
a. Well, let me see if I can.
Can you do it and share your screen?
I don't have the thing open. I have to go back to my email and get the link. Wait, no, I don't.
No, just go to that stuff that I sent you.
That's not on there, but it's here.
Yeah, in there. It's in there. If you go there, I put this document.
But I can't copy and paste it.
Why not?
It won't let me.
Well, just click on it in the document. See the document? See where it says Bozeman Daily Chronicle? Just click on that. You have the same link that everybody else would. I shared it with everybody.
Okay, links. Getting there.
Yeah, paywall. How did I used to? There's a way to get
I looked at it once earlier today, so it may not let me look at it either. We'll try.
Shit, man. Hang on. There was more. I'll go to
You
Yellowstone.
gotta quit cursing, man.
They don't understand it. Give me a sec. I do want to share this with you.
Let's see if it works for me.
Oh, man, it keeps opening the Bozeman article. Hang on. Let's see. This is the Park Ranger EDU.
That's what you want to see, right? Park Ranger guy.
Yeah. It doesn't have his picture. What the? Let's see. K2 radio. Okay, if you guys get bored at any point here, just hang up. Where are we at? I shouldn't.
There he is.
At 64. Okay. So kind of scroll down there. So he's the new park ranger. His name is
Chris Flesh.
Chris Flesh. I can't open it here because Chris was the deputy park ranger under Sara Davis. Sara retired at the end of April. So here's the deal. Sara had 23 years in, including the 3 years that she spent at Yellowstone. She's worked in every major park as a enforcement officer. So she's had quite the career. She was over 50, so she can retire. She can use a retirement. If she waited 2 more years, she would have gotten better benefits, etc. but it's not unusual for them to retire. This is, I don't even think it's timing, as a matter of timing, only because the last thing that she did was wrote that affidavit on behalf of the U.S. Department of Justice. So she's retired. Her deputy, that is the reason this guy is smiling, get that guy's face on there. The reason he's smiling is he was in on the Zoom call with Forrest and Jack, where they told them GPS coordinates where the treasure was. And he was the one that made the trip out in the Yellowstone National Park truck to visit the location. That's why he's smiling like that. He's going like, Fenn searchers, you suck.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
That's a little assumptive there.
Doesn't he have that look on his face? Like, I know and you don't.
And he went to school in Arizona, ASU and NAU.
Yeah, northern
Arizona person.
Yeah, he also went to Quantico, and he got his start like at a summer intern kind of thing, way back in 2000. So this is a pretty interesting story. So anyway, if you haven't been to the Bows, I'll put another link in there for the the Yellowstone National Park announcement.
Pork.
So yeah, so he's a good guy and taking over, and so we're down to Jack Stoof, the people who know where the treasure was. Jack Stoof, Attorney Nasco, Sara Davis, who's moved on to greener pastures. I'll tell you a little bit about how that goes, and then our friend Chris here knows. Now there were other people on that call. They said other government officials on the call, so they may know too. But I guarantee you, this guy knows because he's visited the place. He went with her, which is kind of cool when you think about it. So, but the other thing that I wanted to mention, she was due for retirement. She could have waited another 2 years, but she didn't have to. But when this happens like that, when people retire as young as she did, she can go on to an encore, what Shelley and I call an encore career. And that means she has a couple of options. She can go work for a federal contractor and that services the National Park Service, right? So they have contracts with the National Park Service. She can do that. Now, she can't be involved in any active contract that they currently have for 12 months. So she has to kind of hold back for 12 months, but she can work on other contracts. And with 23 years experience in federal government, especially 23 years experience in the National Park Service, she's a very valuable commodity. The second place that she could go work is she is a certified police officer. So she could go to any small to even a larger town, but she could go to a medium-sized town in the area and become instant police chief if they were looking for one. And generally speaking, as you're getting closer and closer to retirement, these things come up. You talk about them and people start popping up. Like when I tell you that we publish books for people, you say, I've got a friend that's going, well, that's how these things work in federal government. And you got to remember, that's how I got my first job that wasn't a government job. I was offered the opportunity to become an independent contractor. And it was not unusual that a lot of people that served in the military, holding a position in the military with the Army Security Agency, literally went to work the next day after they ETS'd out who were working with the Army Security Agency or the Naval Security Service or the Air Force Security Service. After they ETS'd, they went to work for the NSA. I mean, that was a transition. And then after 20 years in the NSA, they retired and they went to work for a federal contractor that required that security clearance, because that's worth an extra $20,000 to $30,000 a year in Washington with the clearance. Toby, what do you believe the chances are that someone tries suing Yellowstone for the location? First of all, they wouldn't sue Yellowstone. They would have to sue the Department of the Interior, because that's the suing entity. You could use Yellowstone as represented by the Department of the Interior. It is possible, but I don't know what makes the case. And that's the other. I'm going to talk about this in just a minute. So I don't know how you make the case. Why are you entitled to know the location? You have to is it affecting your livelihood? Is it affecting your health? Is it affecting? So you've got to make a case as to why the location should be revealed to you. So it could be, and you can see the cases that we've dealt with so far where they claim some sort of need to know where the treasure was and where it was moved to and all those things. And in each case, the court dismisses it. And the reason the court dismisses it is because the case is never made. You'd have to have a really, really good reason that had no conspiracies in it. Forrest moved it away from my spot in New Mexico. I think there were 3 people at least that had filed cases that involved Forrest moving the chest around after they found it. And it's always, I found it, but I didn't retrieve it. That's not a good case to go to court.
It's not finding it.
Yeah,
I imagined it was there.
No, they go there, and I said, I found the case, but I decided to leave it there and get some patina. I don't know. And then I was planning to go back, and when I came back, it wasn't there anymore. That's not a very viable case. So Copper Dan, they could sue the Department of the Interior, but it strikes me that if you're going to bring a case against them, they can't do anything about it. What are you suing them for? Do you sue them because the Department of the Interior owned the land that it was once hidden on? I don't think there's any good case that you could sue them for, including the information, because you have to have a claim, right? You have to say I was somehow my family was damaged as a result of this. I would think it was more likely that somebody would sue Jack for the location, but again, it's a hard case to make. You have to prove that somehow Jack finding the treasure or the location, even more. If you're going to sue him for the treasure. Don't sue him for the location, because the fact that he knows the location and you don't, in no way provides you the opportunity to make a case. Jack knows the location, I don't. It makes me sad. I'm depressed. And my wife left me. There's no there. There's no case there. It would be a really hard case to make, which is why I imagine nobody sued him at this point. So yeah, Jack got lucky. And no kidding, Mary Green. Jack got lucky. He left the treasure chest, and then went back the next day. I tell you, if I had found the treasure chest, I would not have left it there. I would have shoved it down the front of my pants if I had to and dragged myself out of there. So yeah, I wouldn't have left it there. The Copper Factory says, I'm suing them because 3D Bronze won't stop harassing me. So, all right. So let's get to the documents that were filed this week, and I'm going to talk about them. Was that all the articles?
Yeah.
Oh, so I know you guys have been talking. I watched the forums, and there was a lot of talk about SERPA, the System Units Resource Protection Act. Oops, you can't see my window. So down at the bottom here, when isn't that open? Down at the bottom is 54 U.S. Code Subchapter 2, which describes the System Resource Protection Act. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I have another question that I want to address. Give me 1 second. Okay. Do we make it to 169, brothers and sisters? 69. Hang on. Let me go back to that text message. Okay. So here's the message I got. What if the Supra, and guys, if you ever have any questions that you want answered, you see the number floating down there, 505-750-2744. Send your questions there, and I will do my best to answer. And if you can't type, just leave a voicemail. You can leave a voicemail like that. Hang on, I'm going to answer that question in just a second, Mary. Okay, so here's the question I got, and I don't have it on my, I wish I could share it with you. I'll just read it. What if the Supra applies to Fenn because he hid the treasure in the Yellowstone National Park? Could they go after his estate? So the simple answer to that question is yes. But any question that starts with a phrase, I think I said this last week, any question that starts with a phrase, what if, is followed by conjecture. That's what if. Now, scientists, they will take the what if. What if I added another electron to that neutron or that atom, and would it make a big bomb? Right? What if we added another electron to that particular atom? Yeah, it makes a big bomb. So what if is conjecture. But here, what I decided to do is I'm going to take us back to history, and I'm going to create conjecture for you. All right. So let's say, as Forrest has admitted, that sometime prior to what if Forrest had, prior to 2010, had conversations, paid $5,000, as he claimed, with two attorneys to help him determine where to hide the treasure. And those attorneys told him what we already know: not a good idea in a national park because they have that abandonment rule. Same for Forest Service and same for Fish and Wildlife Service. Public, if you put it on private land, it belongs to the owner. That's what they said to him. And if you put him on Native American land, you will be killed and scalped. So he thinks to himself, well, where can I be? Well, it boils down to BLM land. But let's say Forrest says, you know what? I'm a maverick. I don't care whether or not I can do it. And he puts it, what if he puts it anyway, in the Yellowstone National Park. So he's traveling along. We're looking at his treasure, and he's having his book signings and being happy and telling jokes and kind of publishing new books, because he said that was going to be his last book. But there's 350,000 people out there that are ready to buy anything that he publishes, right? So he's having a damn good time. Then one day he's reading the newspaper, and he says, and he reads, the federal government, through the Department of the Interior, has enacted a new law, and it's called SERPA, the System Unit Resource Protection Act, and it applies to land administered by the federal government and have these conditions. Well, it turns out that Yellowstone National Park met those conditions. So I wish I had it to play again. Oh, somebody's calling me. Hold on. I got to close this window. Sorry, guys. I hadn't turned off my phone. So in that July 2050 conversation with the guy Brian from CBS Sunday Morning, he walks him through it, right? And he says, Brian, I talked with attorneys about this, and they pretty much told me that what I should do. They gave me the advice, and they suggested that I shouldn't do it. Well, what if that morning that he opens a Santa Fe, New Mexican in 2014, he reads about the new SERPA and he calls his attorney back. Now, there is no evidence that he actually called attorneys anytime after 2010, other than he states that he talked to attorneys in 2015. Other than that, there is no evidence that he talked to attorneys. But let's say, what if he called his attorneys and he said to them, they got this whole new SERPA thing. And what would happen to me if I had hid it in Yellowstone National Park? And the attorney said, well, you're basically up shit creek. Because not only now can you be sued under Title 33 for abandoning property, but they could come after you with not necessarily a suit, but claims of costs for the damage that has been done as a result of you. So he says, well, you know what? I'm a maverick. I'm just going to leave it right there in Yellowstone National Park, and I'm not going to move it. What if that was true? All right. So he's left it in Yellowstone National Park. Jack Stu finds it. What if Jack? These are all what ifs. Okay. What if Jack Stu finds it? They have a big party together. Fenn is glad it's over. His family's glad it's over. Jack's happy because he can pay off his medical school debt as soon as he cashes out for the treasure. So everybody's happy. And then one day, Forrest Fenn gets a call. And it's a call probably from an attorney in the legal branch at the Department of the Interior. And he says, Mr. Fenn, I'm calling to ask you if you'd like to join us in a video conference to discuss the location in which you hid the treasure. And he said, well, how is that any business of yours? And he said, well, I'm the Department of the Interior. I have to assume that unless you hid it on private land, you hid it on land that is owned by and administered by the United States government. We just like to have an easy conversation with you about that. And he says, is it okay if I bring my attorney? And the attorney, we'll call him David Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy says, Yeah, sure. Bring along your attorney. By the way, we are also going to invite Jonathan Kenneth Stoof, and we're going to invite Yellowstone National Park Chief Ranger Sara Davis and her deputy chief. Is that okay with you? Ben says, yeah. And the attorney Kennedy says to him, and remember, you don't have to agree to this. This is not a deposition. If you don't want to show up, you're welcome to do that. We just want to have a little conversation with you. Well, dadgummit, Fenn's a maverick. He's tough. He knows what he's done. And he says, you know what? I'll show up. And they set a little date sometime middle of August, right? So everybody shows up to the video conference. There's Forrest, NASCO, Jonathan Kenneth Stoof, and the Chief Park Ranger Davis and her Deputy Ranger Chris, what's his name? Flesh. And some other government officials, probably our friend David Kennedy, and maybe even a representative from the DOJ. So they sit down and have the meeting. And so Fenn probably says something because he's a maverick, right? He's on the ball here. What's this all about? What is this all about? Well, the attorney from the Department of Interior said, before you ask or answer that question is answered, I need to tell you that you don't have to be here if you don't want to. You don't have to answer any questions if you don't want to. If at any point you get uncomfortable, you can just say, I'm uncomfortable, let's move on, right? Because this is not a formal deposition. Ben says, okay. Jack says, okay. And David Kennedy turns it over to Sara Davis. Sara Davis says, we are extremely concerned about where you hid your treasure because we believe it could be hidden in Yellowstone National Park, and as a result will create potential for damages. And if it does, not only will you be liable under Title 33 for abandoning the property, but you will be liable under Title 52 for any damages that you've done or that are done by other folks as they search for your property. For example, Mr. Fenn, this nut job that just dug up one of our graveyards that went to jail for, I think, 5 years and was charged with $250,000 in fines, you would be liable for that. All the costs associated with that. You would also be liable for the cost to the federal government for prosecuting that cowboy. So we just want to know where it is to protect you. Fenn says, well, let me make a deal with you. If I tell you, will you promise not to prosecute me with any crimes? Here's what Sara Davis would have said. Mr. Fenn, it is possible that the federal government might make a deal with you, but you haven't been accused of a crime. A prosecutor makes that decision about whether or not there is some kind of agreement made, but that's after you have been accused of a federal crime. You have not been accused with a federal crime. Therefore, I can't make a deal with you. I'm just asking from the deepness of your heart and your love for Yellowstone, tell us where it is. And so Forrest does. She opens up Google Earth. She finds the exact spot in Yellowstone where Forrest and Jack gave her, because Forrest didn't have a GPS, but Jack did. He had a GPS and the phone that he used to take the pictures of the treasure chest, so they could give him the precise location to 6 decimal points. She opens up her Google Earth, she punches it in, and she says, oh my God, that's Fenn Rock along the Madison River. Oh, he says, I didn't know it was called Fenn Rock. And he says, well, your crazy searcher friends call it Fenn Rock. Well, Mr. Fenn, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We will go about protecting that space as much as we can and arresting anyone who does it any damage. Have a good day. In the course of that conversation, Fenn would have admitted to committing a Class B misdemeanor. Jack would have admitted under Title 33 to committing another Class B misdemeanor. And they would be liable for costs, damages, and prosecutions as a result of SERPA. But nothing happened. She walked away from that meeting, went happily on her way, looked for other Fenn searchers to prosecute, but not the guys that caused the problem. Not the guy that hid it and broke the law, and not the guy that recovered it and broke the law. And interestingly, if she wanted to, she could go after his estate for all those damages and prosecution costs. That didn't happen. Instead, she's tried her best to see that the location is protected, because the one thing that Forrest Fenn, Jonathan Kenneth Stoof, and Sara Davis all had in common was they wanted to protect that spot. So let's look, what if, the alternative. Fenn didn't hide it in Yellowstone. He didn't have to worry about Title 33. He didn't have to worry about Title 52 SERPA. He hid it outside the park. So when David Kennedy called him the first time, same conversation, he says, sure, I'll be happy to do that. They have the little August meeting. David Kennedy starts, you don't have to answer any of these. It is our intent. This is not a prosecution meeting. This is not a deposition. It is not formal. It is not under oath. Let's have a conversation. She says, Mr. Fenn, the reason we're here is because we'd like you to tell us where you hid the treasure. So if it was in Yellowstone National Park, we can protect that area. Now, in the back of her head, she knows that if it is in Yellowstone National Park, it's not just about protecting that area. It's about suing the crap out of Forrest Fenn, and not suing, sorry, wrong word. About going after, from a legal perspective, as defined by Title 33 and Title 52, going after Forrest Fenn and Jack Stoof, both of whom have committed crimes at this point. And they're both liable for SERPA. And you know what they did? They told her where it was. They weren't threatened. They knew they hadn't committed any crimes, and they knew that they didn't have to make any kind of deal because it was never in Yellowstone. So they told her the precise location. She plugs it into Google Earth. She finds it on Google Earth, and she realizes, oh, that's on the South Fork in Cody, near south and west of Cody, Wyoming. I'm just making that up. I don't know. Just say it's outside Yellowstone. Well, dang, she says, Mr. Fenn, I really appreciate you. You can assure that we will keep this. It's in our best interest to make sure that whether or not this was in Yellowstone National Park, it is land administered by the Department of the Interior. It's in our best interest to maintain it as a secret. We're grateful to you, sir, for having shared that information with us. And Mr. Stoof, God bless you. Sell that treasure and pay off your medical school debt, my son. So which one sounds more reasonable to you? Which sounds more Occam razor to you? Where Forrest had to defend himself from 2010 because it's on Yellowstone, especially when a new law comes along, and he's got to pay another $5,000 for attorneys, and he's always at risk right up until the day he passes. Oops, SERPA can also go after the decedent's properties. How much do you think the family would have hated that? So that's my what if. What if it was never in Yellowstone? He had nothing to worry about. And there was no reason for Sara Davis, David Kennedy from the legal branch of the DOI, and the Department of Justice to prosecute him. That's my what if. Thank you for the question. Okay, let's go on to some other stuff. So I do want to talk just a little bit. Open the window. So these are, as you can see in front of you, and you have a link to this. So these are, so let me see. So what happens if the phone lost in Yellowstone? That's abandoned property. If somebody finds it and turns it, you didn't intentionally abandon it. You lost it. Hopefully somebody will find it and do what they're supposed to do, which is turn it into the park superintendent. They will look up your stuff on your phone, call you and say, hey, we found your phone. Right? As imagine if the chest was hidden in 2010, say here's an if, right? And SERPA was established in 2014. Does that provide a loophole? I looked at the law, and the law went into effect, right, in 2014, December 2014. when it goes into effect, there is no grandfathering in, especially in the case of Jack, who, if it had been in Yellowstone, if they couldn't get to Fenn because there was some sort of grandfather clause, I didn't see a grandfather clause. You could make a case for it. Judge, he left it there in 2010 before SERPA. Oh, you mean he broke the law, Title 33? Is that right? Yeah. Yes, Your Honor. So he broke the law, but it wasn't before SERPA. They're going to get charged with it anyway. But they can go after Jack if we start going and looking for the place where Jack found the treasure, and we started putting up, and this again assumes it was in Yellowstone, and we start putting up little shrines and little markers and little notes. That's going to fall on Jack if it happens. Doesn't sound like it's going to. Okay, so here are all the documents. I'm not going to cover this one. This is the one from Coombs on April 29th, and he refiled another one. So these are in order of the date that they were filed. So the first one was May 2nd, filed by Zoe Old. And basically, she asked that they could go ahead, if they could go ahead with the deposition in front of a court reporter, because it is effectively a witness deposition, move that out to May 12th, which is a Thursday. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, oopsies. Oh, rats. Hang on. Now you're going to see all my drive entry here. My fault for trying to be fancy. Okay, so that's old. The next one that was filed, and I again, they're by date and time. Let's see, Kevin Carney. If the law isn't specifically ex post facto, it would be enforceable in my non. That's right. Ex post facto is the basically grandfathering it in. He's saying if the law is not post facto, not meaning nobody that broke it beforehand would be cleared. Anybody who broke it before the law occurred would be clear of it. That still doesn't solve the problem of Title 33, the abandonment of intentional abandonment of property. Good one, Kev. Yeah. Okay, so the second one is also Zoe Old. Let me see if I can open up this in the new tab. So, hang on, I have to do this with a mousy mouse. Hold on. So this one was also at 9:22 in the morning. And this was the extend discovery deadline. So in order to, since affidavits are taken and witnesses are interviewed as part of discovery, or they're deposed as part of discovery, the original deadline was the end of April. It's been extended twice. So this is a request to, I don't know, can you see it? Right. This is an unopposed motion to extend the discovery deadline to May 12th. Now, the reason you can say it's unopposed is because her attorney contacted Jamie McCracken, who's acting on it in his own behalf, and say, is it okay with you if we extend it to May 12th? Jamie apparently agreed, and so there was no big deal about it, okay? So that was the second motion. She did the two motions. They're both 922. It is more likely that this one was submitted first, asking for the deadline to be extended, and then the second motion was the move the deposition to May 12th. So the deposition is going to take place on May 12th. Oh. Well, I am just not being very good here. Okay, there we go.
Did the wrong one. Copper says, I've said this before, but I will reiterate. If the chest was not found in Yellowstone, it would be in the government's interest to let searchers know that it was not found in Yellowstone.
I see. I would agree with you if they didn't trust that the searchers would go looking anywhere it was. right? They're not going to get, they don't, so the Title 33 doesn't cover BLM land, but they have a responsibility to manage and protect BLM land because it belongs to us. It belongs to Americans. It doesn't belong to Forest Fenn. It doesn't belong to the searchers. It belongs to all Americans. And therefore, I don't have a right to go damage it. And so I would say that even if it wasn't in Yellowstone National Park, because it's their responsibility to do this, they would be as concerned if it was on as concerned on BLM land as Yellowstone land.
They're still not pinpointing it, though. They're just saying it's not in Yellowstone.
Well, they're not. Yes, to some extent, they're saying that it's on public land. They keep referring it both the affidavit that she filed and the way the attorney reported in court last Wednesday. They consistently referred to, the only one that didn't refer to public land was attorney, what's his name? Carl Summers. Yeah. Okay, so that was old. Then there was a second one from old. Is that right? Or that was the third one. 220502 at 922. So those were the two olds. Then on 220502 at 351, that's the one where they received the one from Coombs. And this is a bit over here. So the blue stuff is my writing. So he wanted to dismiss the USA motion to intervene. Comes down Terry Coombs, pro se. So pro se is I am acting on my own behalf because I watched the case with, what's his name? Because I recently watched the case with
Matlock.
No, the guy, or I watched the one with the two actors, Johnny Depp and his ex on TV. So I know what I'm talking about here.
Something heard.
Is I'm not an attorney. I don't have an attorney representing me. So whatever follows might be a little bit crazy. So he's asking to intervene, asks the court to dismiss the motion by Yellowstone National Park. There was no motion by Yellowstone National Park, which automatically just the court at a minimum is going to say, go back and rewrite this. And the USA, and that means, I suppose, the Department of the Interior, Department of Justice, intervene and not allow stoof location or other certain information to become public. Coombs is a motion to file a lawsuit against Forest Fenn and counsel. So there is no Forest Fenn. Forest Fenn has passed away. So if there was a lawsuit, it would be against the Fenn estate. Coombs contacted, here's where it gets sticky wicket. Coombs contacted the New Mexico Attorney General in January 22. Coombs was told by the office of that they would not investigate a current Coombs suit against Fenn. Now, I went looking in case text and Pacer and case law for another Coombs suit. There was nothing against Fenn that I could find. If you guys are better at this than me, just go check it out. The USA motion states that the AG office sent a letter to the Yellowstone Ranger and asked Ranger to ask USA to intervene and stop party stoof. Here's where it gets kind of sticky because that's not a complete sentence. Party stoof found Fenn treasure location testimony from entering the public record. The Wyoming BLM lands treasure location is not the business of the New Mexico AG. Yes, that's correct. I think it's the only thing he got correct in this. This appears to be the Fenn lawyers approaching New Mexico AG. That didn't happen. Fenn Stoof old team, including counsel, may have manipulated the New Mexico AG. The New Mexico AG is not involved in any way in this case. The New Mexico AG, the Attorney General, is responsible for enforcing and prosecuting the laws in the state of New Mexico. This a probate case in district court is not something that the AG would get involved in, unless one day they walked into the court and everybody had. I'm not going to go there. It is Coombs' belief that the location informing is not damaging to BLM lands, as stated by Yellowstone. Yellowstone didn't say that. Or Yellowstone Park is acting outside their jurisdiction as ranger. We don't know, right? We don't know where it is because whether or not Yellowstone doesn't have authority. Park rangers are part of the National Park Service, which is part of the Department of the Interior, and have authority on other Department of Interior lands. Their authority doesn't stop at the edge of the park. More evidence of fraudulent activities. Contest participants will have their evidence of fraud or more validated. The loss will not match up to more than 100 clues. Fenn and Kyle, I guess he's referring to Jenny Kyle, so poor Jenny's not involved now. Created the contest. It's not a contest. Match up to Navajo Peak Burial Grounds, New Mexico. Yeah. So you go digging around at a Navajo Peak Burial Grounds, you're going to get shot twice and scalped. You're going to lose body parts. Also, Cody, Wyoming, Irma Hotel and Episcopal Joker Church. Now, what I want to know is if that's an accurate representation of a church's name. I had friends who were Episcopal, and I can't imagine they named a church Episcopal Joker Church. The hints are negligible in comparison to the dozens in New Mexico locations. So he's another New Mexico guy. He's like me. He's probably searching up in Rio de los Pinos. Oh, wait. Rio de los Pinos.
Well, it sounds like Sassy won a lot of money in the Kentucky Derby today. So
wow. Well, I didn't get to talk about that. We'll go back to that in just a minute. If she bet on the horse that won, it was 8-1 odds on that horse. It was pretty serious. He was not supposed to win. He was supposed to be a back of the packer.
She's probably singing to herself, "I got the horse right here."
Combs has gathered extensive evidence of fraudulent activity by Fenn and Stu committed against Combs. Fraud, I don't know why they always take it personally. Fraud is difficult to prove. Yeah. And Combs with counsel.
Look at that. Chad Bird's here.
Chad, is that Father Berg using Chad's account?
Hi, Chad Bird.
Hi, Chad Bird's dad. Are you saying someone else knows where it was? Yes. So Forrest Fenn has passed. Jack Stoof, who's still alive. Ranger Sara
Davis.
Ranger Chris Flesh. And who was number 4? I forgot.
The lawyer.
Oh, and I can't count him. So wait a minute, I had that number correct. The attorney, NASCO, the attorney for Forrest. We don't know who he represents. He could represent Forrest or Jack. My guess is Jack because I hadn't heard his name. So there are 4 living people who have actually been to the location. Forrest, I'm sorry.
He's not living.
No, you're right. There are 3 living people who have been to the location and 1 who knows it but has never been to the location, attorney NASCO. The 3 living people who have been to the location are Jack Stoof, Sara Davis, and Chris Flesh. So yes, I am saying that, but I'm not making it up.
Did you give him an air horn?
I did give him an air horn. I didn't give him an air horn. Let's see.
Woohoo!
So that was a 20. I should get some applause. Right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So somehow the other fraud is difficult to prove, and Combs with counsel would use the testimony against Team Fenn, Stoof, Old, and Jenny Kyle. Poor Jenny. Jesus Christ.
So apparently Sassy even called out the winning horse last night and told people to bet on it.
Wow, Sassy.
Yeah.
Dang. We'll go back and we'll talk about that in just a minute because we don't usually talk sports, but there are 2 sports this weekend that I really like that I follow. AG Yellowstone Park Rangers. Okay. So here's what's really cool. So he says, if you want to ask Stu questions.
It was in Wyoming.
Pardon me?
Chad asked where it was. I said it was in Wyoming.
We don't know anything other than what we knew 2 years ago. So he says, these are the questions you need to ask Stoof. He says, number 1, did you read the 200-page of news articles on Amazon.com, the Fenn treasure conspiracy? The answer, of course, we know will be no. Now, number 2, did anyone help you become the contest winner? Winner. Number 3, did anyone help you? This is literally one sentence down to right here where it says 8.4. So see where it says 8.4? This is where 8.3 starts, and it's one sentence. Okay. Did anyone help you devise the loot finding legality steps of leaving a found treasure for a time in on BLM lands, and then asked Fenn if you may go pick his property up and take it out of Wyoming BLM lands, not Yellowstone National Park, and bring his treasure to him in Santa Fe the next day, 6/8/2020, for a staged photo shoot that then presented many more photo clues to be validated. New Mexico treasure location, all in the hopes Fenn might give his contest prize to you, ? Whew. Do you understand that Taylor Swift? Okay, this is where it gets really strange. Do you understand that Taylor Swift verified the Coombs location in New Mexico and that you and others are caught? Now,
Is he talking about the Taylor Swift, the singer?
Yeah.
How would she know, and why would she even care?
Um,
She's worth way more money than this.
Yep. Yeah. I should yell at Alexa. Hey,
No,
Alexa.
you shouldn't.
So that's the Coombs filing of 220502 at 1551. So my expectation is that there's no claim. So again, remember that we're talking about a probate case. So in order to be involved in a probate case, you have to have a claim against the decedent's assets. There is no claim stated here. There might be, he's claiming that fraud was committed, he's claiming a lot of, but he didn't say, I think the family owes me $5 million and here's why. Now, it would still likely be denied, but there we are. Okay, the next one that was up was pretty straightforward. This is the one I'm sure you may be waiting for. And this is the one where Judge Matthew, he spells Matthew really different. It's Mathew. So my son is Carl Matthew.
It's not that different. Plus, it's a last name.
M-A-T, yeah, but that's not how St. Matthew spelled his name. This is the order that was signed by Judge Matthew denying the United States of America's expedited motion to intervene. And remember, he told her that. I'm going to deny the motion at the end of it. It was kind of sad, actually. I felt bad for her. The United States of America has not shown sufficient interest in this matter, although it has an interest in certain real property located in the state of Wyoming, which has a relationship to this matter. It further has remedies outside of this proceeding, which may protect its interests in real property. And what he means by that is he said to her several times, why don't you just invoke the law to protect it, right? If you know where this area was, just do your job and protect it. Its intervention by its own argument would create undue delay in the resolution of this matter. And that's what all these things are doing. And he doesn't like. Judges like to get through their cases quickly, especially if it's a kind of down to earth probate case, which is this. So he's telling her, I'm not going to give you that. I'm not going to let you delay my case. It has not satisfied the requirements of Rule 1-024 New Mexico rules for the purposes of this court allowing intervention in the matter. The New Mexico rules are the same as when it comes to the numbering, it's the same as the federal rules of civil procedure. So 24B2 states how you can delay a case, what authorities you have to delay a case. She didn't meet those. He says it is therefore ordered that the United States of America's expedited motion to intervene is denied. I would like to make a point.
You'd like to make a point about what?
I was going to make a point that nowhere in this case do they mention the Park Service, the Yellowstone National Park, anything. It's just the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was then. Then there was a second one, and I think this was a follow-up. So this is also a
Chad has a question.
Okay, Chad. Yeah, you could FOIA. I have heard, and this is just I've heard. I don't know. Somebody tried to FOIA the Yellowstone National Park for the information. If if they feel so, if they have it, which I don't believe they do. Let's say, so let's talk about that meeting that took place in August 2020. So that meeting was probably recorded, even though it was informal in her behalf. She knows, going from having gone to the FBI Academy, she's got to have all her ducks in an order. So she probably recorded it. She would have had to tell them it was going to be recorded. And then afterwards, she has to write a complete report of everything that happened, which you get to see in the affidavit that she submitted as an exhibit to the USA's motion. So it's probably somewhere. In addition to that, she and Ranger Flash jumped in the old Yellowstone National Park police truck and took a ride out there. Well, that's on government time and government gas. So that has to be recorded. So there's lots of ways that it's been documented. Flash probably wrote his own memorandum of record because he knows how big a deal this is. So it occurs more than one place. I think Yellowstone National Park is the wrong place to ask. If I was going to go FOIA, I would go to the Department of the Interior. Now, this happened in 2020. It's going to take you 6 to 8 months to get this information. And then it is very likely by that time, the USA, the government has decided that it's not in their best interest to share that with you, so that the location would likely be redacted, and then you'd have to go to court. So they would do everything they can within the law to frustrate you and force you into court to ask for that. And then they get to make their case in front of a judge. So, yeah. So this is the second stipulated order granting an unopposed motion to extend discovery deadline. So this is where he told Zoe that their discovery deadline could be extended to May 12th, and that they could then go ahead and interview or depose Jack Stoof. Now, that was another thing. I was under the impression that Jack Stoof was in the case because McCracken made the motion to depose him. That's not true. I discovered that Jack Stoof is in the Jonathan Kenneth Stoof, is in the case because after McCracken submitted his motion making his claim, where he said that it wasn't in Wyoming, that it was in New Mexico, and that Forrest moved it around, it was Carl Summer, the estate's attorney, who subpoenaed Jack Stoof to the deposition, had him subpoenaed to the deposition in order to prove, using him as proof, that it wasn't located in New Mexico. So I thought that was interesting because I thought somehow or the other Jack or Jamie McCracken had done it. It wasn't. It was Carl Summer. So I stand corrected when I said Jack wouldn't be in the case if it weren't for Jamie McCracken. But technically, Carl wanted to depose Jack because Jamie was claiming that it was in New Mexico, and Jack is the only living proof that it wasn't in New Mexico. And according to this case, that's all he has to say. Wasn't in New Mexico. He doesn't even have to say it's in Wyoming. He can say it wasn't in New Mexico. And then if he says, well, where was it? He can say it was in Wyoming. And then when he says, could you give the exact location? I can't do an English accent, sorry. Can you give the exact location? He says, one of the opposing attorneys, probably Summer, will say, I object, not relevant. You didn't give us the exact location where you were looking in New Mexico, where our job is to prove that the chest wasn't in New Mexico. We've done that. Thank you. Have a good day. End of deposition. So this is Chief Justice Matthew. So here's the fun one. You think the Combs one is fun. Ooh. Ooh. This was another doozy right here. Okay, so this is an expedited motion to intervene. Now, remember, when somebody says, I want to intervene, they're intervening because they have a claim against the Fenn estate. That's what probate is all about. If you want to intervene, if I submitted a motion to intervene because I miss being around Zoe, that's not a motion to intervene, right? It's not going to be, it's going to be denied, right? So this is from a lady whose name is Carolyn Tyler. I tried to redact her personal information, but she comes from Wisconsin. So that's kind of a big, okay. She respectfully, well, she's acting pro se, so she's seen a lot of court TV too. I respectfully move to intervene as a petitioner in the case stated above. The court's ability to provide fair and just ruling on this case will be impaired without me. I'm sure that just Matthew was happy to hear that he couldn't do this without Ms. Tyler. There should be, the case will be impaired without me intervening. I have to be here because your case is going to suck otherwise, Judge. Yeah, that's how you start out. There should be tangible proof to verify what the decedent and person named Jack Stoof have provided by their communications with the park ranger, Sara Davis. I have tangible evidence and I'm willing to provide if given the opportunity. Without the tangible evidence I possess, the court will inadvertently rule in favor of those providing falsehoods to the court. Open parentheses. I'm not saying it's park ranger Sara Davis, close parentheses. So she doesn't want Sara mad at her in case she shows up at Yellowstone again. So I don't know. Again, none of that has anything to do with a probate case. She's got that. The decedent's treasure chest was not found in the state of Wyoming. The decedent was a crafty wordsmith. Which I love. That's our good friend Forrest. But the crafty wordsmith who always, by his own admission, chose his words deliberately and carefully. This was especially true when talking or writing about his treasure hunt. Very little has been mentioned about the location of the decedent's treasure chest location by the decedent, but what he did say publicly was minimal and did not include the words, the state of Wyoming. Well, it did towards the end after the treasure hunt where he agreed that it was in the state of Wyoming. Now, prior to that time, we didn't know any more Wyoming than it was in New Mexico. And I have the survey research to prove that. All of us were split up. The following quotes, and then she goes through a bunch of quotes. And I don't know if this is Jenny Kyle's website, Mysterious Universe. Is that part of what Jenny Kyle does?
Paul Seaburn, I don't know.
If one of you guys knows what, yeah, it was. They've seen a lot of court TV. Because I promised the finder I would not reveal who found it or where. I have remained silent.
A podcast by Paul Wallace.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
So she's quoting Forrest in a couple of these. The finder wants me to remain silent, Fenn said, and I always said the finder gets to make those calls, who and where. And then I have heard the decedent say in an interview, I will leave it up to the finder, which is true. Forrest was pretty much like, once the finder finds it, it's his problem. So she quotes Forrest several times, and then she says, Mysterious Universe says, Fenn treasure update. Forrest Fenn says it was definitely found in Wyoming by Paul Seaburn, July 29th, 2020. Note, there is no definitely in the last quote of the decedent, nor is the state of Wyoming. Wyoming has more, etc. Wyoming has more than one meaning. Yes, it does. That's true. But I felt like an architect. So again, bunch of quotes from decedent. Did not leave the chest on the ground as stated. Left it in the ground as can be evidenced by the photo provided by Jack Stoof, who claims to be the finder. So she doubts that Jack is. I have evidence where and how decedent's treasure chest was hidden, right down to the photo of the blaze Jack Stoof claimed was damaged, most likely by the force of nature. Right? That was Jack saying that. The best sentence, or not the best, not the next one. How could Jack Stoof claim the blaze was damaged when he can't tell? Oops, sorry. When he can't tell anyone what the blaze was. I am a force of nature. I didn't damage. Oops, wrong apostrophe. I didn't damage the blaze, but I do have a photograph of it. I removed the blaze after I took the photo when I tried in vain to retrieve the decedent's treasure chest. So I don't know, like you're at the blaze, you're looking down at the treasure and you're having trouble digging it up. Well, let me explain why. I can state with 100, dang nabbit.
What is going on with you?
I don't know, I got to bring it over here. Let's see. I can state with 100% certainty that the decedent's treasure chest was hidden, found, and retrieved in the state of New Mexico. Damn it, guys, I was right. It was always in New Mexico. I can say that because I found it long before Jack Stoof came forward. The reason Jack Stoof lucked out is the person he is proxy for failed to give the chest to the tax-exempt organization he was directed to give it to, along with giving me what the decedent always said was something special for the finder. So we're going to go down just a little bit further. I do and did and am here to prove the court I am the finder of the decedent's treasure chest someplace in New Mexico. Jack Stoof did not walk in the lawyer's office carrying the chest. It was someone else. The Fenn family and their attorney, which I understand is Jack Stoof's attorney, not true, know who I am because I filed a timely claim in the decedent's probate, which was denied. And if you wrote it like this one, that explains why it was denied. They were to bring the decedent his silver and turquoise bracelet. She talks more about that. And then she said, so I was wondering, why couldn't you retrieve it? Decedent said, find it, not retrieve it. So the deal was you didn't have to return with the treasure. You just had to find the location where it was. That's how she interpreted it. I have limited mobility and my asthma was exacerbated by the high altitudes and I was physically unable to retrieve this decedent's treasure chest. Prior to getting the courage to try to retrieve it, I didn't have the heart. And here, I don't know if she means physically or emotionally. Then I was scared to death, fearing I would go to jail. When I asked the decedent if it was legal, he wouldn't answer me. So remember, she was in New Mexico, so we don't know what kind of property she was on. Anyone with limited mobility that requires a flat surface to walk up, use a cane, walker, or wheelchair wouldn't roll down the rocky slope where the treasure was secreted like I did in 2019, back to the beginning of the sentence. I nearly bled to death. By the grace of divine intervention, I am alive to tell about it. I feel the American with Disabilities Act was violated in the decedent's treasure hunt. So apparently Forrest didn't put...
Actually, Marty, that's what I said. Toby's like, yay!
Yeah, just funny, yeah. So anyway, it's another one where she uses 7 pages to mention, I oppose David Robert Woodard's claim that he is the true solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, more pages of stuff, and then she gets down. She has photos of the blaze, Homer Brown, the location, surrounding area, rocks with blazes, wood pieces that I encountered, beer, decedent made a beer, not a beer. Keywords that one thing. I also have 4 photos of the top of the chest before it was retrieved on June 5th, 2019. I have the exact GPS I took with my smartphone compass app by laying my phone on top of the center of the treasure chest. A few things should not be disclosed yet in the event and my evidence is investigated. Okay, so she wants the metadata from the photos that Jack Stoof submitted as evidence of decedent's treasure chest be seen, but it would definitely prove the treasure chest was found in New Mexico. So what she's implying is that those photos that we talked about that Jack took with his phone, which would have recorded the GPS location, would show that the GPS location was in New Mexico rather than in Wyoming. So that was the last one, and Chitman.
Here's the Mysterious Universe podcast. I put the link in the YouTube chat.
Oh, Fenn Hunters. Oh, it's talking about us. Why don't we do a podcast, Shell?
We do a podcast. It's called Messages and Methods.
Oh, okay. All right. So that is, how did I manage to do that?
What did you do now?
I closed my drive window again. Hold on. Don't. Okay. So I have a couple of times shared the location of this folder. I will do it one more time. So if you guys want to see any of this material, you're welcome to do that. I will continue to do that as I collect more information. So the deposition will be on the 12th. The deposition will not, you can't be party to a deposition. So only the parties to the deposition can be party to the deposition. I'm not a party to this, or I'm sorry, party to the case because it can be at the deposition. So for example, and it's all going to happen via Zoom call. So Jack will be there. Carl Summer will be there representing the estate. Zoe might be there. She doesn't have to be. Jamie McCracken will be there. and he doesn't have an attorney. So it's probably just Jack, Carl Summer, and Jamie McCracken. And so one of the options that the Judge Matthews offered the U.S. attorney was get an injunction from a federal judge. So that may still be happening. They have time to do that, but I haven't seen any action. I looked at the DOJ Albuquerque website and I didn't see they had anything scheduled. So they might not take them up on that, but she could have had a little conversation. I'm sure after the Wednesday's hearing, she had a little chat with Carl Summer because of when he dropped the Yellowstone bomb, because she pinged him in the last kind of couple of sentences that she had. But she might have figured out that she doesn't need an injunction because she has a little conversation with Jack, and his attorney has probably already done that. Oh, I'm sorry. So Jack's attorney will likely be there. One of which is, if he asks where it is, you say Wyoming. And if he says the precise location, you say that your attorney says objection, that's not relevant. And that's all that has to happen. So I don't think we're going to get the GPS coordinates next week or anytime soon after. And again, because it's a deposition, we won't actually be able to see the deposition until the case is resolved and it goes into the court records. So we can get it after that. Okay, I think that's it for Forest Fenn, unless you guys have any. Okay, stooge is a stooge, meaning a coy, but relationship with the forest is deeper than publicly shown. So I can't disagree with you. I just have to work with the facts, right? Facts are Jack and Forrest said the treasure was in Wyoming. They told a couple of officials, government officials, the exact location. And the government officials seemed happy to be with that, happy to have that. And so those are the facts, right? Everything else is speculation. Okay, so I did want to
thank you for the super chat. Again.
Oh, wait. Is that another one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that? That's
Yeah,
why it was green.
Oh, okay, I just saw it. So I did want to talk about this because so I used to be a big fan of horses when I was living out in Virginia because we were in horse country. And the lady that I was dating at the time was a horse person. She had grown up in the area. And so although I hadn't ridden a horse since I was a little boy, I started riding again. And there's a lot of horse activity in that area. There's polo matches every weekend in summer, and it starts in spring and then it goes through summer. And there's races, but the biggest race of the year is the Gold Cup, the Virginia Gold Cup. And that took place literally about 20 minutes away from my house out there in the horse country. But at the end of the day, all these companies set up tents. As a matter of fact, I had a couple of clients that I helped them set up the tents at the Gold Cup, and they all have TVs. And at the end of the day, the Gold Cup finishes before the Kentucky Derby starts. And so you finish the day hanging around and watching the Kentucky Derby and having cocktails and eating little shrimpy things and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's one of the things I miss about that area. But the winner was a horse named Rich Strike, who was an 80-1 long shot. So if you bet $1 to win on Rich Strike, you would have gotten $80 back. If you bet $100 on Rich Strike, you would have gotten $8,000 back. So it was a hell of a shot. Yeah, mint juleps. Yeah, I still make a great. You know who drinks mint juleps? That's my friend here on the other end of this. She's a mint julep fan. That and mojitos. She likes mojitos. Yes. Anyway, so that was the first. Yeah. That was the first exciting thing to happen this week. I didn't bet I like living vicariously and I'll watch it on TV, but I don't bet anymore. I don't gamble anymore. So Rich Strike, he beat out the expected winner Epicenter. So in 2 weeks, so the Triple Crown is separated by the race is 2 weeks, and the next one is the Preakness. The New York Preakness. So they'll be back up again. I watched the interview with he came from the back of the pack in the stretch from, the last part of the race, and Epicenter was moving up front. There was another horse whose name I didn't get that was competing with Epicenter, and I thought it was going to be one of them. The rest of the pack had fallen back. All of a sudden, because you saw from the cameras, he was following a horse along the rail, and all of a sudden you see this jockey pull his reins to the right. The horse twists his head literally to move over a lane, and went up between this one horse that was already on the rail, and then went up in front of him and then pulled over to the left so he could go by Epicenter and this other horse that were held. They were, I don't know, 20 lengths away from the finish. And he finished 2 lengths ahead of the horse that was supposed to win the race. Sassy says Rich didn't come into the race until 2 days ago because a horse scratched out. So he was like an alternate at the time. So he brought him in, which didn't leave him much time to train on the track. I listened to the jockey, and he was just a very confident guy. He's only been racing for 1.5 years now. So he has a lot going for him. I didn't recognize the owner. I'm sorry, the trainer. I know a lot of the trainers because this lady that I was dating at the time, both her sons were jockeys, but one of the sons ended up a trainer working for, I don't remember his name, but he had a house in New York and he had a house in Florida. The guy had more money than he knew what to do with as a trainer. And he was good. He was really good with horses. I have some pictures probably that I could share with you from that period. Anyway, surprise win by an 80-1 long shot. So Sassy, I'd like some input onto what's happening on this at the Preakness, and I'll put some money on your horse, Sassy. Whatever you tell me to do. Damn, that was a damn good bet.
She says it's called Thread the Needle.
Yeah. If you watch, if you get whoopsies, I don't know where I'm going here.
She says he's very immature and only raced like twice in.
Look at him. Look at his head. He's see how
loves to run.
Look at him. No, I don't want to do this. I want to go back and eat some hay. I don't want to do this. Stop it. And see when he's biting his neck, that's where they tell you, I don't want to do this. I'm going to bite your horse's neck. Stop that, he says. Stop biting my neck.
Wow, you got a whole thing going on over there.
Oh, that's what they do. I know that's what they do. That's like it's like a cat when you try and pet them and they bite you. When a horse tries to bite the other horse's neck, you say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have anything to do with this. So I don't know I don't know from trophies. Okay. Then they're going to put those roses around his neck. That'll probably send him. He could take the Preakness if the other jockeys don't block him. Yeah, well, see, that's the other problem. He has more stamina than any of the pack, and the Preakness is a long race. Yeah. So the races get progressively longer, each one of the Triple Crown. The longest, I can't remember it. Yeah, I'm sure Sassy does. He's biting because he still wants to run. Yeah, the lead pony is slowing him down. Yeah. So he sounds like a very inexperienced horse. He just wants to, this is all, for a good athletic horse like this, they love running. They just love running. Some of them will break their own hearts. They run so much. But they're just beautiful to watch because they just want to run. And he's a beautiful color. I love that color on a horse. It reminds me of Secretariat. It was my all-time. Secretariat was my hero horse. Then Belmont, yeah. Oh, Belmont is shorter than the Preakness. I thought it was long. I thought they were longer in order. So anyway, that was a Preakness. The other thing that is happening this week.
That was the Derby.
Oh, okay. So the other thing that's happening this week is Miami is hosting the Grand Prix, the Formula One Grand Prix guys this weekend. They did the time trials today, and 2 of the Ferraris ended up in the front row. So that's really cool. Leclerc, has won it in the past, has won the whole thing in the past. But so almost nobody liked it. The course is in downtown Miami around the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium. And it's a very challenging course. There was lots of spins and slide outs today, but the race is tomorrow. I think it's at 1:30 Eastern time. So I think, or maybe 3:30 Eastern time, because I thought it was going to be 1:30 our time. And I wasn't planning to watch it because I was planning to go with my daughter. My daughter wanted to take the boys, my grandchildren, my grandbaby. They're not babies; they're teenagers now. she wanted to take them magnet fishing on the Rio Grande, which I thought was a good idea. Let's see. Oh, that's
Have
why.
we had mint juleps? I don't remember.
Yeah, we had a we had a mojito party. Remember?
Did you make me a mint julep? What's in a mint julep? I don't even remember.
Well, it's like a mojito, but not with tequila. It's got is it gin?
Well, a mojito is rum anyway.
Rum. I'm sorry. I think the mint julep is like a mojito. It has the syrup, the sugar syrup, the mint, and I think instead
Is
of
it
rum,
whiskey
I think it's whiskey. Yeah, it's
or is it gin?
Kentucky bourbon.
Oh, is it bourbon?
Yeah, that's the whole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I have had one. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I like bourbon.
I think we were at Tamaya, and remember they serve them in the brass cups, which is
Do
kind
they?
of traditional. Yeah, they do it up pretty good. But you'd like it because it's real sweet with that little minty side thing. So anyway, Miami Grand Prix. It's Sunday. They've already done the time trials today. The e-race. I don't know whether you guys knew this, but they now have races for Formula One electric cars, battery powered cars, and they are faster than the dickens. So that's earlier in the day. They're having the ABC is hosting the big one, the Formula One race. ESPN is hosting all the other races. So if you want to see e-cars race without making any noise, they just make like wind noise and like fast motors turning, like a whine. It's really amazing, and they're faster than the dickens. And the batteries, the race is 1 hour long. So you're going at 220 miles an hour on a battery-powered car for 1 hour. When are we going to get that technology? I can drive to Phoenix in 3 hours.
Yeah, the speed limit's going to keep you from doing
Yeah,
that.
I know.
It's not the Autobahn.
So anyway, that's the other big sports thing happening this week. If you're not a fan, it's like every year I invite people over to watch the Indy 500, and I don't follow it throughout the year, but I like watching it once a year and now this is the first time in several years that we're going to have 3 Grand Prix races here in America. They're going to do Miami, they're going to do Las Vegas, and I think the third one is Detroit, but don't hold me to it. It's either Detroit or San Diego, because they've had them there in the past. But they are doing one in Las Vegas, which is going to be, I have to tell you. So my daughter, Erica, who has 2 of my baby granddaughters, she called me on Friday and very excited. She said, "Dad, I got tickets to the Miami Grand Prix." And I said, "Great, sweetie, make sure you take advantage of that." And she said, "I got a ticket for you." And I said, "Sweetie, you're in Boca Raton. I'm in Albuquerque. I'm not going to be able to find a flight between." "Dad, you should come." She tried to talk me into going. Like, I would have been there like Friday night and stayed with them and then done the thing. But they went to the time trials today. I'm sure she dressed to the max as usual. And they're doing the race tomorrow. So I'll send you pictures if she sends me some. Okay, so
Traditionally served in a rocks glass or ideally in a silver julep cup.
right, yeah,
You are correct, John Miller.
yeah.
I had to look it up to find out.
Okay, so let's talk about the Ukraine for just a little bit.
You mean Ukraine?
You know what? I call it the Ukraine. You're right. It is Ukraine.
Yeah, it's not like the Germany.
Remind me of my website. Yeah, it's not the German.
But it is the United States. So
International.
it's
What is
easy.
it? Help
What?
me with my website.
Study of War, the ISW.
ISW. Okay, here we go. Okay, Institute for the Study of War. So I'm wondering if they even have updated maps. So this is the latest assessment. There we go. So this is the latest assessment. As you can see, the Russians haven't made much of an advance since we were talking last week. Now, I had a great article let me see if I have it here, that said basically, let me see if I got this here. Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, basically the Basically, the Ukrainians, you remember, they had been on the defensive since the war started. I think we're in day 73 now. So they had been pretty much on the defensive. The Russians weren't making much headway on the offensive. They weren't simply doing anything. They were still pretty much in the east and south of the Ukraine. The things that you see here with the red stripes are actually parts of the country that Russia had basically been in. What's the word that I want? They invaded it back in 2014, and they had stayed there here in the Donetsk and down here in, they don't have the name for it. It's not, it's the Donetsk. I'll remember it later. So these other red areas outside of Kherson and up here are areas that that they have acquired since this particular time of the war, back the 75 days ago, since required. So they're all in these areas. These blue areas right here, as you can see, I can make this a little bit bigger, are actually areas, as you can see down here, Ukrainian partisan warfare. That means Ukrainians who are not necessarily military are there. So this is where all the oh man, I don't know, when I touch it, all the counteroffensives are occurring up here in the blue. But apparently, as you see over here, this blue area around Kharkiv is also blue. So now that the weaponry that the that NATO and the U.S. has been provided, they're starting to go on the offense. Now, they don't, according to them, they don't have any intent of going into Russia. They just want to get Russia out of Ukraine, and they're doing a really good job of it now that they have all these weaponry. So the Russians are, like as much as they were last week, on their heels when it comes to this. They're still losing men. They're still losing equipment. Some of the equipment still is, because it's old and it hasn't been maintained, is still not able to be used. So they're actually having trouble holding their lines. Now, the one area that they've had some success with, as you well know, is this area down around Mariupol. And basically, so several things happened since we talked last time. Number one, the last 500 of the civilians that were in that steel plant, that steel processing plant, were allowed to be taken out by the Red Cross. And they were driven by bus all the way across country to Kyiv. So they're out of danger. We don't know what happened to the soldiers that were in there. We don't know if they let the wounded ones go or whether they've been taken hostage or they've been taken prisoner. That's what we don't know. What we do know is that Russia released video of Russians ordering civilians to clean up Mariupol. Right? Hang on. I gotta get. So they're cleaning up one of the main streets in Mariupol, and they're putting up Russian flags, the Russian red, white, and blue flag. And excuse me, wow.
Too much talking.
And remember, last week I told you that May 9th is an important date to Russia. It is what they call Victory Day. They celebrate their victory over Nazi Germany back in 1945. April of 1945. Well, in this case, May of 1945. So when you see the Russians marching in Red Square, where they have those big, they march and they do serious, and they show their tanks and they show their rockets and things like that, that's May 9th. That's Victory Day. So what they think is happening here is Putin has to show some kind of progress made in Ukraine. So the expectation is that they're actually going to have like a mini parade in the destroyed Mariupol down this one street that they're cleaning up so he can use it for propaganda. But as I said, more and more weapons provided by the Western European countries and the United States are moving in, and they're starting to get into the fight. So mobile anti-aircraft weapons, tanks provided by the UK, all the anti-tank weaponry that we've provided them, radar equipment, etc. That's all starting to get into the game. And so it's making Russia even more difficult, because if they had kept to their 72-hour blitzkrieg schedule, they wouldn't have to deal with all this weaponry. Now they have to deal with this weaponry, including 155 millimeter howitzers, which is the biggest field cannon in our inventory. So now the Ukraine is having, the Russians are having to deal with Ukraine's firing 155 millimeter howitzers at them, made by the USA. Now, there was some news this week, and I think I got that as well. This one here, where it was reported by several major outlets here in the U.S. that U.S. intelligence helped the Ukrainians locate the Moskva, the flagship that they shot the 2 Neptune rockets into. I guess it's been about 3 weeks ago, and eventually sunk it. It sunk in the Black Sea. And that made the Russians very nervous. So they took the rest of the fleet and they moved it 80 kilometers out into the Black Sea, where they thought they couldn't be reached by these Neptunes. Well, recently it was reported that the intelligence community helped the targeting of that vessel. And the intelligence community, the Department of Defense, came out right away and said, we did not do that. We did not help with the targeting. Now, they didn't say what they did do, but they don't want the Russians thinking that we're targeting their ships or their generals or anything else, because that involves the U.S. So the Ukrainians are getting intelligence from not only the U.S., but other countries in Western Europe, especially those that are members of NATO, because they all have that. You got to remember that those members of NATO are set up to protect themselves from anything Russian. So that's working really, really well. There was another ship that came into Sebastopol, which is a Russian port. Now, I don't know if you remember Sebastopol. Sebastopol was, during World War II, was like Stalingrad. It was this big back and forth between the Germans and the Russians, and the Germans basically did what the Russians have done to Mariupol. They just flattened it. So Sebastopol is one of their big heroic areas. Anyway, there was imagery coming out of Sebastopol of another damaged Russian ship with ambulances waiting for the wounded to come off the ship. And one of the reporting agencies reported 80 wounded people. Now, we don't know what happened there. They gave the name of the ship General something. Anyway, there's been no indication from the Ukrainians that they caused this. Obviously, there's no indication from the Western European countries or the U.S. That we caused this. So we don't have any validation of how this all happened. You have to go to the next option, and that is they had an accident, which is what they claimed happened to the Moskva. They had an accident. It blew up a significant part of the ship, and there was lots of wounded. But the Ukrainians have not claimed they had anything to do with it. So let's see. John says, I'm involved in an international organization. My counterparts in Ukraine report Russian soldiers were trading their weapons for warm clothing and food. That wouldn't surprise me. Because the Russian soldiers are recent, a majority of them are recent recruits. They don't have a lot of soldiers with experience. They tend to be recent recruits who don't know why they're there and who don't have the equipment necessary to support them in combat. So it's not a pretty picture. And it's not. The other thing too is Western Europe has decided not to buy any more petroleum from Russia, which is going to hurt the economy. So there is no way that the Russian economy survives this without some kind of damage. And you got to remember, the Russian economy is not a big economy. It's smaller than Italy's economy. It's actually smaller than California's economy. So it's not a big economy to begin with. It's an oligarchy. So it's about banks and petroleum. And if you start losing banks and petroleum, if you can't sell your petroleum, nothing's going into the banks, and you can't pay for your war. So it's not a pretty picture. It's not going to turn out well. And the only question is how long Putin can, maybe May 9th, he says, yeah, we won, has the parade, and then takes his football and goes home. I don't know. He doesn't, there aren't a lot, he's won strategically, he's lost this war, period. Everything that he didn't want to happen, NATO becoming stronger and tighter, Sweden and Denmark announcing that they're going to join NATO. Ukraine was using it as a bargaining chip. They've said, try to convince Putin they're not going to join NATO, but everybody else in that area is going to, I guarantee it, because they could be next, right? And if you have NATO behind you, what's interesting, of course, is Ukraine is not a NATO country, but everybody realizes who's next after Ukraine. He just heads west from there. So you can't let this happen. You got to protect Ukraine, and you got to do whatever is necessary to make sure they can fight this war. Okay, let's spend a little time with this, because Shelley and I had a big conversation about this earlier today, and she was doing some research. So your turn. Tell me what you found.
Oh, well, I found some things that they've been working on this for a while, right?
Who is they?
The Supreme Court and, the whole Mississippi
The original case.
Yeah. So they've been talking about this for a while. They've been talking about the court is full of, what do they call them, originators.
Mhm.
They basically are focused on what did the founders want, what was life like back then when they set things up, and what's the tradition of that. And then they also look at when the 14th Amendment was enacted and what was life like then, or what were most of the states doing at that time. And the report that I read basically said that these things were happening back then. Most of the states, at the time, did not have laws in the books, stating that you couldn't have abortions, you couldn't terminate a pregnancy. They didn't have those kinds of laws, and it was a standard practice that if it was done in the first 10 to 15 weeks, that they weren't, going to do anything about it. It was just a thing that happened. So to come back later and say, oh, well, now we're going to do it this way, but because that's what the founders wanted, it's kind of debatable that that's in any way true, because it was standard practice that 1 in 5 pregnancies were terminated because people died from having babies. So it was dangerous times. So that's the way things went. And they don't take that into consideration when they look back and say, oh, well, this is how it's always been, and this is how they intended it. But then they don't tell you the whole story. They don't give you the history of what really happened. So I find it a little disingenuous to say, to go, with what they're saying right now, that this is the way, it's been, and this is our history, and this is tradition, and all of that, when no, it really wasn't.
So what we do know for certain is that it is very likely that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. And if you can overturn 50 years worth of jurisprudence, that means everyone's rights are at risk. And so they can overturn anything that has protected any kind of right prior to this time. I am disturbed that this one particularly targets women. I'm going to a rally tomorrow, and I'm going to hold up a sign that says,
You're going to a rally tomorrow?
Yeah.
And you're holding up a sign.
And it's going to say old white guy that believes old white guy that believes in rights.
I don't think you need to hold up a sign if you're there and you're a white guy.
Yeah.
I just know that.
You're right. It doesn't make. You're right. It wasn't a law. Sassy, let me put this up so we can be clear here, because we've been trying to be clear about this from the beginning. So Sassy says what people are failing to realize is that rescinding Roe v. Wade does not make abortion illegal. That's right, because it wasn't a law that made abortion legal. It was a law that said women had the right to determine their own, what to do with their own bodies, right? It was a right as defined by the rights in the 14th Amendment, right? It was a right to privacy. So they used that as a basis. So it wasn't a law. The laws are actually made by the state. What we do know is that at the moment, there's 25 different states that have laws of various levels of intensity that make it illegal to have an abortion. There are states that don't make it illegal. New Mexico, I know, is one of those, and we're surrounded by 2 states that do make it illegal to have abortion in various ways after certain weeks. In this case of Texas, it's 6 weeks. In the case of Arizona, it's 12 weeks. But what's going to happen is there are several states, some of which already have anti-abortion laws. There are several states that have trigger laws that are going into effect that once Roe v. Wade is overturned, the trigger laws will take force, and they are more dramatically, I'm going to say, draconian. In one case, in Louisiana, there is a law that will go into effect that makes it a case of murder if and with the same levels of prosecution, homicide, if a woman has an abortion. So she can go to jail for killing the baby as a homicide. The judges, and now what's interesting to me about this is nobody ever makes rules against what the father of this baby, whether they were married or not. I don't ever hear anybody saying the father is then an accessory to the murder. That doesn't seem to fall into anybody's mind. So the laws in the states that are anti-abortion states will get progressively more, they will get progressively more targeted and more difficult to beat. I know that, for example, Oklahoma has a law in the books that will prevent a woman from traveling to another state to get an abortion. So now that's a different right. That means I cannot travel, right? So I think the challenge with Roe v. Wade, and you're right, it doesn't change any laws, but it does put these states, it puts it in the hands of states who do believe that abortion should be abolished. And some states believe it, right? If you're in Texas and you want to get an abortion, just drive over the border to New Mexico or Colorado, because you can get an abortion in both those states. There are states that have laws on the books to prevent you from taking the morning after pill, for example. There are states with laws that are going to trigger, and they prevent you from buying, what do you call them? The pills.
Birth control or Plan
Birth
B?
control. Yeah, birth control pills. Because birth control is a way of preventing life. So the books are going to get progressively more, the laws are going to get progressively more draconian. And then you have to start questioning what other rights can they take away from us that were based on the 14th Amendment or privacy. Will they go after marriages? Did you know there was laws in the states that prevented a black man from marrying a white woman? Well, the Supreme Court, using the 14th Amendment, turned that over, that there was no restriction as far as they were concerned. But if you're in a state where they want to make that a law, they can now do that.
I still don't understand how it's not covered by HIPAA.
Well, that's another question that you'd have to get into. I still don't understand why it doesn't align with the 14th Amendment's definition of being a person, which says it's when you're born, right? So there's lots of questions. So if you're fortunate enough to be anti-abortion and you live in an anti-abortion state, you get your wish. If you're like me and you're pro-life, pro-choice, and you live in a pro-choice state, I'm happy here. So it'll be up to each state to make the decision, and the states will make whatever decisions they want until you change. If you don't like what Louisiana is doing and turning it into a homicide, well, then you have to vote for officials in Louisiana that wouldn't do that to you. So come to New Mexico.
Yes.
You're right.
Especially if you're a corporation with money.
I'd like to correct Sassy. I don't know how that's an argument. The 14th Amendment never said anything about abortion. The 14th Amendment is your guarantee to privacy and the definition of when you become a person, and then you get the benefit of those rights. So you're right. It didn't say anything, but that was the law. That was the amendment that was invoked for Roe v. Wade. So you're very right. It doesn't say anything about abortion. There is nothing in the Constitution that says anything about abortion. It
It
says,
doesn't say a lot of rights that we
yeah,
have nowadays either.
yeah. So yeah, up to and including birth. No, that's not true. So you can have a late term abortion, but not up to and including birth. That is not true for any state. So if you want to have this discussion, I know where they are and what the facts are. So, all right. What else? Let me see. Oh, I want to talk about this before we go. So I've done a lot of work on documentaries talking about the ocean and the coasts and things like that. And one of the things that's a constant conversation in all of these is something referred to as the ocean gyre. It's spelled Gyre. It's pronounced gyre. And the gyre is, there are several of them. I should have brought up a map. The gyres are in the oceans and they're all over the world. And what happens is the ocean turns between the hot and the cold, right? And when it does, it forms this gigantic whirlpool. Now, it's not the kind of whirlpool that's going to suck you under, but the water turns that way. And eventually what happens is in the middle of that gyre, it collects garbage. And this could include, there was one gyre that they showed, it included 12,000 ducks, rubber ducks that had fallen off out of a shipping container on a ship in a bad storm, and the rubber ducks that bounced out. So they ended up in the middle of a gyre. Well, this is an example of one of the edges of a gyre, right? And it consists of boat rope, it consists of nets, it consists of things that have fallen off boats, it consists of everything that can float, tennis shoes. It eventually ends up in one of these gyres in the ocean, and there is more than one of them, right? Because there are more than one gyre in all the Indian, the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Sea of Japan, etc. So there are more than one gyre out there in the world, and they all have this place where this garbage is collected. There's companies who are paid to go out and clean up these gyres, and they're so big that it's too big a problem. They just kind of reduce it in size. But some scientists went out to one of the gyres, and I think this one was in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So this one was in the Pacific, which of course, is between our West Coast and China, Japan. And what they found is there's floating life in these gyres, that the gyres are actually creating new forms of life as a result of them being born in the gyres, which is kind of how Darwin predicted it would happen. And also, what's that movie, Jurassic Park? You remember in Jurassic Park, they always used to say, life will always find a way, right? That's how we ended up with dinosaurs chasing us around South America. So apparently life has found a way. And I was going to share this with you, but as you scroll down, the pictures, they've taken photographs, scientific quality photographs of these of this animal life. Hang on. So it's not necessarily plastic stuff as much as stuff that will float. So for example, there's tennis shoes. And the tennis shoes, again, there seems to be a lot of material that's fallen off transport ships. Those shipping containers, and they'll run into rough seas. Shipping containers will fall into the sea, open up, and release all the things that they were holding. So who can you imagine what's down at the bottom of the ocean? But here's what I wanted to show you. So I was reading the article, and I thought to myself, this is pretty fascinating. There's guys working at this. They're taking it seriously. It hasn't gotten big enough to do any damage. They actually mark them in the shipping lanes so ships know to go around them and not run into them, because some of them are pretty big. But then as you scroll down, they have pictures of the creatures. And, I'm a big fan of microscopy, and what you see in a microscope is amazing, right? But these are some of the animals that are living in the gyre. So this one you can see is basically a miniature conch shell, right? A snail reclusia species viewed from the side oral end, that's where he eats from. So that's on the part where they eat, living on the gyre. This is another one, a violet snail, Jathinia species, viewed from the side with a large bubble raft made from snail mucus emerging from the water. How cool is that? I just thought these creatures were fascinating. Life finds a way. Blue-bottom porpoise species viewed from above, floating anemone, actineca species viewed from the side. I just like, what is going on there, man? That's a lot of mechanics in there. So it's like they put the pictures, and as you went down in the article, they got progressively more complex. But look at this one, blue sea dragon, it's called. Glaucus species viewed from above with a dark blue ventral surface. So look at that baby, man. How'd you like to have that in your bed with you some night? Whoa. By the wind sailor. So this is one of those objects that just rides the oceans with the wind. He got to hang out down the gyre, and there he is. So this is a Portuguese man of war, which you don't want. You've always been told as you're growing up, if you're in the ocean, you don't want to be anywhere near a Portuguese man of war because they will make you sticky and painful. This one, I don't even know what it is. You know, it's got like a whole bunch of body types mixed in one. A buoy barnacle, Dacima fascicularis, viewed from the side with a boral white float at the water's surface. I guess that's an abral, like an aborigine. Anyway, I just thought I'd like to share those with you as a kind of final. Oh, we need to do a giveaway. Did we make it at 50?
Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Joe Sharon says Serpa.
We made it to 50 like an hour and a half ago.
Oh, did we? Okay, well, let's do a giveaway. So you got to stick around for the
2
giveaway
hours ago.
you have to do the thing. Okay, so here are your options. You can choose one of the 3 books, and you will automatically get. I guess we can go back to your. You will automatically get 2 challenge coins, 2 AGK challenge coins, and 2 AGK postcards. The first person to put it in the chat room, I will keep an eye on it, to put the answer in the chat room is the winner.
In the chat room.
And these are all trivia questions. Toby and Shelley trivia questions. So go ahead, Shelley. What's your trivia question for tonight?
All right.
Are you going to post it?
What was the name of the hiking trail where Toby and Shelley made a boots on the ground video in July 2017? And where is it located? Where it is located. Where it is located. Yeah. And where is it?
Located?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay. So what was the name of the hike? Put it up there. Let it sit up there. There's no reason to get rid of it. What is the name of the hiking trail where Toby and Shelley made a boots on the ground video in July 2017? And where is it located? So do we actually say the name of the hiking trail?
Probably. I know the name.
So New Mexico. No, that's the state. Lander. That's town in. So everybody's just guessing, guys. Come on. Rio de los Pinos. Okay, I'll take a drink to that. Although I'm just drinking water tonight. All right, guys. Come up with the answer. Where's I haven't seen Huli tonight. She's usually good with these trivia questions. And then she gives it away. Appalachian Trail and Bear Mountain, new. Scott. 9 Mile Hole, Fenn Trail, Wyoming, new. None of which exists. There is no Fenn Trail. You're making stuff up. Okay, bro. North Slope Trail. I don't think I've ever been on the North Slope Trail.
North Slope.
Let's see. Do some research, folks. Do some research. Let's see if I've got anything to share with you while I'm. Oh, okay. While you guys are checking, Shelley, would you keep an eye on the chat room?
Uh-huh.
Let me share this with these guys. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. So, let's talk about this for a second. So I don't know what you guys are aware. Over my lifetime, I've made over 200 documentaries, most of them for the federal government. I think I've done probably 5, 6, 7 since moving back to New Mexico, but I'm a big fan of the documentary. I used to teach documentary making. So I love watching a good documentary. And I don't always recommend them to people because I know some people just are not fans of documentary. But if you have some time, you can find this one on Canopy, Ovid, Amazon, Apple TV, Google Play, Kino Now, and Vudu. And oh, damn it, I did not mean to do that. Right? And I did find it on YouTube that you can rent for a day at $2.99. So it's called Dawson City Frozen Time. And it goes back to this. A study from the Library of Congress in 2013 estimated that 70% of American feature films from the silent era are lost. The library maintains a list of more than 7,000 features that are known to be among them. But in Dawson City, Frozen Time, this particular documentary, Morrison winds his way through a complicated story of how 372 silent film titles were buried in Dawson City, Canada, which was one of the old gold mining towns, and then recovered in 1978. And they've been spending time since then trying to restore these films. Now, when you go see it, you'll see a sample. Let me see if they can find the one that was on YouTube. There was one on YouTube where you could go. Let me see if it's right here. So they aren't completely and perfectly restored, but it's amazing because it provides you a whole new insight into that period prior to Dawson being a gold rush town and prior to the end of the silent era. And so it's like a whole history of that. It's called Dawson City Frozen Time. Let me see if I can print this. Let's see what happens if I do it on Google Play. I thought there was a. Okay, so now it's gonna play some music, and I'm gonna get busted. I know, but so you can see, if you see right here, there's a strip of the film, and the only reason because it was buried in the permafrost, and so the permafrost protected it from completely being destroyed. So they found these pieces. I don't know if I'm going to see a movie here. I'll put it up.
This is fascinating. These are World Series shots from 1917 and 1919. And Canada, just getting a hold of these videos is fascinating, huh?
It was an incredible story.
Oh, look, there's a picture of me. The construction crew found him in 1978. So even if you're not,
They just like throw them in a hole or something.
they don't know the whole story. There was a construction crew that found them. It was the kind of thing where somebody said, these films are not ever going to be of any kind of value, and threw them in the hole and just left them there, and the permafrost protected them. Anyway, I rented it. I haven't watched it. I'm planning to watch it tonight after this. Oh, I got to go pick up my groceries at Walmart. Anyway, if you like documentary stories, I always like documentaries that have kind of a cool story going along with them. This is one that I would strongly recommend, not only because of who it was made by, but the topic and how they presented it. And you get this whole new insight. And they're eventually going to the Canadian version. So America has the American Film Institute. The Canadians have a similar thing, and they're going to end up with all these restored films there. So eventually you'll be able to see all these restored films in Canada. So, and probably online. So Rio de los Pinos in Colorado. Scott, the Rio de los Pinos is not in Colorado. Let's see. I don't know. Does anybody have it?
Not exactly. I think JT is the closest.
What did JT say?
Said Sinks Canyon,
Oh, that's good. Did he mention the trail?
Lander, Wyoming.
So let's see, Marty Bird. Where's Marty Bird? Hey, Capo, there's a secret agreement with the government to keep the location secret. Meet the definition of conspiracy. There is no agreement to keep the location secret. There isn't a formal agreement to do that. When I said that, I said that they had something in common. They would all, both Sara Forrest and Jonathan Kenneth Stoof, what they had in common was they would all like to keep it a secret. But there was no agreement that it would be kept secret. Nobody, if Jack wanted to release that location, he could do that because he hasn't broken any laws. So there is no conspiracy, there is no agreement. And the information can be found someplace in the Department of Interior file archives. If you FOIA it, it will likely be redacted, and you'll have to go to court to get it unredacted. So there is no agreement. Sinks to Rise Trail. Popo Aggie. Remember we went there saying Popo Aggie? When we went up there, it's how Fenn said it, Popo Aggie. And you go up to Lander and you say Popo Aggie and everybody corrects you. It's the Paposia.
That's right. We didn't actually say Popo Aggie
No,
because we watched somebody on YouTube and to see
Correct.
how they actually said it.
Yeah, the Paposia Trail. And the other thing that you find out is there's three of them. There's the north, the middle, and the little, right?
Yes.
Yeah, north, middle, and little Paposia.
Something like that. Yeah.
Goes right through it.
All right. I'm going to give the answer. And I think that JT gave the closest answers. So
Okay, so
we'll
we'll
let you decide.
Let me see. The Sinks Canyon Nature Trail in Fremont County, Wyoming, Sinks Canyon Road, Lander. It was definitely in Sinks Canyon. Oops, I guess we can open
Sinks
it.
Canyon Nature Trail. It was what it was called.
Was that the one
nature
that was the big loop that took
Yep.
us through the different zones?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a great trail. We did make a video from there, didn't we?
That's right.
Yeah.
Up
so
there
you could
in the
actually
field.
go, if you went to M&M, there's a video we made in the field while we were out there, sweating up a storm. So, man, we had a great time with all those little things that we did. Okay, JT, you are the official winner. So send a text message to the number below. It'll pass by me here in just a little bit. Send me a text message with your full name, which of the books that you want. And if you give me an email address, when I print the label, when I build the label, if I put your email address in there, they will inform you as each of the shipping activities go along. Now, I ship these media mail, and I ship them on, I guess I could ship it sooner. What's today? Saturday. I could probably ship it on Monday. But media mail is 6 to 8 days. So you won't get it right away, but you will get it. And like I said, if you give me your email address, I could include that in the label as I prepare the label, and they will start sending you information about where it's where it was won. So let's see what Kipper says. Kipper says, we had a great time watching your journey in the chase. It was fun to watch you guys, and so glad you're back. So, well, we are at the end of this summer. There's a very good chance I'm going to go up to Wyoming, not Yellowstone, Wyoming, and record the location where the treasure was hidden and found.
Okay, well, we have an argument about who said it first, but I'm going back to when I first posted the question. The first answers were Marty Bird said New Mexico. The Sassy said New Mexico. K-Pro said Low.
Sassy says Sinks.
JT said Lander, Wyoming. Sassy said Rio de los Pinos. JT said Sinks Canyon. So he said Sinks Canyon first.
Who
He
said
or she? JT.
Okay. So, wait.
Wait, what?
Oh, I can't go back that far on there.
It's at 9:18
Oh, okay. All right.
on our comments over here.
K-Pro, that's an interesting question. Look at you, K-Pro, trying to keep this going. Toby, have you stated what you think Jack will do on Thursday with Jack's deposition? Will he tell all or plead the fifth? Capro, he will do neither. Here's what I believe will happen. Number one, I don't think the U.S., the Department of Justice is going to get a federal injunction in time, but I don't think it makes any difference. Here's what I think is going to happen. So you weren't here at the beginning, so I'm going to repeat this very quickly. I thought that Jack was being deposed at Jamie's request. And that's not true. Jack is being deposed at Carl Summers' request. So Jamie wanted to take advantage of it. Carl said, when Jamie claimed that the treasure was in New Mexico, Carl made a motion to depose Jack so he could say, nope, wasn't in New Mexico. So here's what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is Jamie, so both Carl and is there another internal? Oh no, Jamie doesn't have, Jamie is pro se. So Carl will get the opportunity to depose Jack, and he only has to ask one question: where was the treasure? Jack will answer Wyoming. That's all Carl needs to make a motion to have Jamie's claim denied, right? Because Jamie's claim is based on the fact that it was in New Mexico. So Carl has to ask, where did you find the treasure? Jack says Wyoming. End of Jamie's case. Jamie could then ask his own set of questions. Where was the treasure? Jack says Wyoming. Then Jamie says, I need the precise coordinates. And what Carl Summer will say, or whoever's representing, that's the other person. So Jack will have his attorney in there. And Jack's attorney will say, objection, not relevant. And there's no way that you could make a case that knowing the precise location is relevant, because nothing in Jamie McCracken's case indicates the necessity. Jamie said, I know it was in New Mexico. My claim is based on the fact that it was in New Mexico. And Jack says, nope, it was in Wyoming. End of case. There's no reason for him to go any further from that. And if Jamie does ask, I'm sure his attorney will object. So yes, the estate asked for Jack to be deposed. Yeah. Oh, happy birthday. Okay. Well, Wave Seeker, you got to remember that Sarah's probably on her way to another post someplace, and I'm going to guess she likes the forest. So maybe she'll be a police chief in one of those towns in Montana or Wyoming or Idaho. Okay, so K-Pro, she'll take the other side of that production. It is, let me see. Toby, very logical, but I will take the other side of that production. It is coming out, in my opinion. Jack will be answering, and both sides will ask IMO. Time will tell. We need to make a little bet, K-Pro. I already have $1,000 bet with somebody. But yeah, let's
just don't bet with Sassy, because she always wins.
Yeah, apparently. I bet that Sassy will predict the winner of the Preakness. How's that? I got to go pick up my stuff before 10 o'clock at Walmart. Otherwise, I don't know what they do. I've never done that before. So you got an inspirational nugget for us?
Here's how to guarantee you have a good day. Do good things.
We do good things. You do good things. You make my day happy just by calling me every morning at 6 o'clock and getting me out of bed.
That never happens.
Yeah, it never happens. Nor would I get out of bed because my phone is off. Okay, guys, I think that's it for tonight. If you have anything that you want us to discuss at next week's show, actually Wednesday night's show, K-Pro gets her wish. There's Hump Day, Hoedown, and Church of the Search. So we'll be on Wednesday night at Wednesday evening at 5 o'clock with Messages and Methods. Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock with some more news and views. And then again, Saturday with news and views. Shelley will not be with me on Saturday because she's going to be visiting with her mom. Bless her heart.
That's right. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. I don't have one, so. But I'm not sad.
There we go.
All right. Okay, guys, I am not going to play our outro because I forgot to make an outro for.
Oh, just play it anyway.
You want me to? Okay. We'll
Then
play
we
it.
got 20 seconds.
Yeah, we got time. There we go. I'm going to shut down your banner. I'm going to go to brand. There's a last comment that I have to take care of. John says, thanks. Congratulations, JT. Make sure you send me that information, that text me that information so I can get this out. Okay. And here we go.
Thank you for joining the conversation on Headlines, a Messages and Methods livecast hosted by Shelley Carney and Toby Younis. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question, and we'll consider your ideas for future shows. Share this show with your family and friends and invite them to become a member of our community. Check the show notes for links and resources, and please come back again next week.